Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you told your plans to people and somehow the energy disappeared? How many times have you shared your pain and later regretted it? You see, not everyone who listens cares, and not everyone who smiles wishes you well. In our excitement, we talk too much. In our weakness, we reveal too much. And in our innocence, we trust too quickly. But life teaches us a very important lesson. Silence is not emptiness, silence is protection. Today, I'm not asking you to become secretive. I'm asking you to become selective. Because sometimes, the reason your peace is disturbed is not because life is hard, but because you told your story to the wrong audience. So let's talk about something very powerful today. Stop telling everything. Most people feel a strong urge to tell their story. The moment something happens in their life, good or bad, they want to talk about it. They want to explain themselves, justify their choices, and be understood by everyone around them. But life slowly teaches us a quiet truth. Not everyone needs to know your story, and not everyone deserves to hear it. Your life is not a public announcement. Your journey is personal, layered, and often misunderstood even by those closest to you. Every person listens through the filter of their own experiences, insecurities, and intentions. When you share your story, you assume the listener will understand it the way you do. But they don't. They hear it from where they stand, not from where you are walking. Someone who has never felt your struggle will easily judge your decisions. Someone who has never carried your pain will casually minimize it. And someone who is unhappy with their own life may quietly feel jealous of your progress, even if they smile at you. We often believe that explaining ourselves will bring clarity, support, or validation. But many times, it only brings confusion and disappointment. The more people you tell, the more versions of your story are created, each one slightly twisted by opinions, assumptions, and gossip. What began as your truth slowly becomes a story you no longer recognize. And then, without realizing it, you start defending yourself against narratives you never even created. There is also a deep emotional cost to telling your story too often. Each time you repeat your pain, you relive it. Each time you justify your choices, you reopen wounds that were slowly healing. Silence, on the other hand, allows emotions to settle. It gives you space to process, reflect, and grow without interference. Not every battle needs an audience. Some battles are meant to be fought quietly, where strength is built in silence. Another reason not everyone needs to know your story is because access creates influence. The more someone knows about you, the more power they can have over your emotions. They know where you are sensitive. They know what hurts you. They know what you fear and what you desire. In the wrong hands, this knowledge can be used consciously or unconsciously to manipulate, criticize, or control. Privacy becomes a form of emotional self-defense. It is important to understand that people come into your life with different roles. Some are meant to teach you. Some are meant to support you. And some are only meant to pass by. But we make the mistake of treating everyone as if they deserve the same level of access. Just because someone is friendly does not mean they are trustworthy. Just because someone listens does not mean they care. Trust should be built slowly, not given instantly. When you stop telling everyone your story, something powerful happens. You become less reactive. You stop seeking constant validation. You begin to rely more on your inner compass than on external opinions. Your confidence grows quietly because it is no longer dependent on how others respond to your experiences. You start living your life instead of narrating it. This does not mean you should isolate yourself or suppress your emotions. Sharing is healthy when done with the right people. A wise mentor, a genuine friend, or someone who has earned your trust through consistent actions, these are the people who can hold your story with care. The key is selectivity. A locked door does not mean no one can enter. It simply means not everyone can. Many regrets in life come not from what we did, but from what we revealed too soon, too easily, or to the wrong person. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They travel faster than intentions and stay longer than we expect. That is why wisdom often speaks softly. It understands that silence can be safer than explanation. When you honor your story by keeping it protected, you also honor your growth. You allow yourself to evolve without labels, without constant judgment, and without unnecessary noise. Not everyone needs to understand you. And that is perfectly okay. Your responsibility is not to be understood by all, but to be true to yourself. In the end, your life will make sense to very few people, and it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. Let your actions speak. Let time reveal your truth. And remember, the most valuable stories are not the ones told to everyone, but the ones lived with quiet strength and deep self-respect. There is a quiet wisdom in keeping your plans to yourself. Most people feel excited when they start something new, and that excitement naturally wants expression. You get an idea, a dream, a goal, and the first impulse is to tell someone about it. You want appreciation, encouragement, or reassurance that you are on the right path. But life often shows us that plans grow better in silence. Just like a seed planted in the soil, your plans need darkness, patience, and protection before they can break through the surface. When you speak about your plans too early, you expose them before they are strong enough to survive outside influence. Every opinion, even a well-meaning one, carries energy. Some people will doubt you. Some will discourage you, not because your plan is wrong, but because they could never imagine themselves doing it. Their fear quietly transfers to you. Slowly, your excitement turns into hesitation. What once felt possible begins to feel heavy. Silence would have allowed your belief to grow uninterrupted. There is also a psychological truth behind this. When you talk about your goals, your brain often receives a sense of completion. You get praise for the idea itself, not for the work. That praise releases satisfaction, even though nothing has been achieved yet. As a result, the urgency to act reduces. You feel as if you have already moved forward when, in reality, you have only spoken. Silence keeps the hunger alive. It keeps you focused on doing rather than announcing. Plans also need time to change and mature. In the early stages, nothing is fixed. You adjust, learn, fail, and refine. When too many people know your plans, you start feeling pressure to stick to them, even when they no longer feel right. You fear being judged for changing direction, but growth requires flexibility. Silence gives you freedom, the freedom to evolve without explanations, without defending your choices, and without feeling guilty for listening to your inner voice. Another reason silence protects your plans is that not everyone wishes you success, even if they appear supportive. Some people consciously doubt you. Others unconsciously feel threatened by your progress. Their words may sound casual, but their energy can be draining. A simple comment like, "Are you sure you can do this?" or "That's risky," can plant seeds of doubt. When your plan is still fragile, these doubts can be enough to stop you. Silence shields your vision from negativity before it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. There is also a sacred quality to quiet work. When you move silently, your actions become deeper and more sincere. You stop performing for approval and start working for purpose. Your relationship with your goal becomes personal, almost intimate. No one is watching. No one is expecting updates, it's just you and the work. This kind of focus creates discipline, and discipline creates results. Think about nature. A tree does not announce when it is growing. It doesn't seek permission from the world. It simply puts its energy into roots first. Deep roots are invisible, but they are what allow the tree to stand tall later. In the same way, when you work quietly, you are building roots, skills, resilience, patience, and confidence. When the results finally appear, people are surprised. They ask, "When did this happen?" But you know it happened slowly, silently, and intentionally. Silence also teaches you self-trust. When you stop telling everyone your plans, you stop depending on their reactions. You learn to motivate yourself. You learn to sit with uncertainty. You learn to continue even when no one is clapping. This inner strength is far more valuable than external encouragement because it stays even when support disappears. This does not mean you should never share your plans. It means you should share them when they are ready, when they are stable, and when the listener has earned the right to know. A mentor who can guide you, or a partner who genuinely supports you, can be part of the journey. But the crowd does not need early access to your vision. When your plan finally turns into reality, it speaks for itself. Success does not need explanations. Results silence doubts better than words ever could. And at that moment, people may ask why you never said anything earlier. The answer is simple: because some things grow best when they are protected from noise. In a world where everyone announces everything, choosing silence becomes a form of wisdom. It keeps your energy intact, it keeps your focus sharp, and it allows your dreams to grow strong enough to survive the light of the world. In today's world, oversharing has become almost normal. We speak the moment we feel something. We post the moment something happens. We explain ourselves even when no explanation is required. Slowly, without realizing it, this habit begins to weaken our inner strength. Oversharing does not make you more open or more honest. Very often, it makes you more vulnerable in ways you did not intend. Inner strength is built when you learn to hold your emotions with awareness. When every feeling immediately becomes a conversation, you never give yourself the chance to understand it fully. Pain needs silence to settle. Confusion needs quiet to become clarity. But when you rush to speak, you hand over your emotional process to others. Instead of listening to your own mind and heart, you start listening to reactions, opinions, and judgments. Your emotional balance slowly shifts from inside to outside. Each time you overshare, you also give away a part of your emotional authority. You begin to look for validation, someone to agree with you, to comfort you, or to confirm that you are right. In small moments, this may feel harmless, but over time, it creates dependency. Your confidence starts relying on how others respond to your emotions. If they support you, you feel strong. If they dismiss you, you feel weak. This is how oversharing quietly erodes self-reliance. There is also a hidden exhaustion that comes with oversharing. Explaining your feelings repeatedly drains mental energy. You start replaying the same story, the same pain, the same frustration, again and again. Instead of moving forward, you remain emotionally stuck in the moment that hurt you. Silence, on the other hand, allows healing to happen naturally. When you stop talking about a wound, it begins to close. Oversharing also exposes you to misunderstanding. No one can fully feel what you feel. When you express raw emotions, people interpret them through their own experiences. Some may minimize your pain. Some may exaggerate it. Some may unintentionally give advice that confuses you further. What started as a need for relief ends up creating more emotional noise. Inner strength grows in clarity, not in chaos. Another important aspect is dignity. There is strength in composure. When you react emotionally in public spaces or with the wrong people, you reveal moments of vulnerability that should have been protected. Later, when emotions settle, regret often follows. You wish you had stayed quiet. You wish you had handled it with more calm. Emotional maturity is not about never feeling. It is about choosing where and how to express what you feel. Oversharing can also make others comfortable crossing your boundaries. When people know too much about your struggles, they feel free to comment, judge, or interfere. Some may constantly remind you of your past pain, even after you have moved on. Others may use your vulnerability to feel superior or important. This is not because people are bad, but because human nature often misuses access when boundaries are unclear. Inner strength is closely tied to self-respect. When you learn to sit with discomfort without immediately seeking an audience, you develop emotional endurance. You learn that you can survive feelings without being consumed by them. You become your own support system. This does not mean suppressing emotions, it means processing them internally first. Writing, reflection, prayer, or quiet thinking can often bring more peace than 100 conversations. There is also a deep confidence that comes from restraint. When you speak less about your struggles, your presence becomes calmer. You appear grounded, not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer controlled by every emotional wave. This calmness is a sign of strength. People sense it. They respect it even if they do not understand it. Sharing should be intentional, not impulsive. There are moments when speaking is necessary and healing. But those moments should be chosen carefully. A trusted person who listens without judgment can help you grow. The problem arises when sharing becomes a habit rather than a choice. When you talk because you cannot hold yourself together without external reassurance, inner strength weakens. When you reduce oversharing, you begin to notice a change. You think before you speak. You feel more centered. You react less and observe more. Your emotions stop controlling you and you start guiding them. This is not emotional coldness. It is emotional mastery. True strength is quiet. It does not need to announce pain or seek sympathy. It knows that storms pass and clarity comes with time. When you protect your inner world by sharing less and reflecting more, you build a strength that no opinion can shake and no reaction can steal. Many people confuse privacy with secrecy, and because of that, they feel guilty for not sharing everything about their lives. They think that if they keep certain things to themselves, they are being dishonest or distant. But privacy is not about hiding with fear, it is about honoring yourself with respect. Self-respect begins the moment you realize that not every detail of your life needs an audience, and not every chapter needs to be read by everyone. Secrecy comes from insecurity. It is driven by fear of being exposed, fear of consequences, fear of judgment. Privacy, on the other hand, comes from clarity. It is a conscious choice. It says, "This part of my life is important to me, and I will share it only where it is safe and meaningful." When you understand this difference, you stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop explaining why you are quiet. You stand calmly in your choice to protect what matters. Self-respect grows when you decide that your worth is not measured by how much you reveal. In a world that constantly pushes you to display your life, your emotions, relationships, achievements, and failures, choosing privacy becomes an act of inner strength. It means you are no longer living for validation. You are living with intention. You understand that your life is not a performance, it is a personal journey. When you overshare, you unconsciously give others permission to evaluate you. They feel entitled to opinions about your choices, your pace, and your priorities. But when you keep things private, you shift that power back to yourself. You decide what is open for discussion and what is not. This boundary sends a clear message, not through words, but through presence, that you value yourself enough to protect your inner world. Privacy also creates emotional safety. Some experiences are delicate, some dreams are fragile, some wounds are still healing. Exposing them too early can damage them. Just like you wouldn't place a newborn in a noisy crowd, you shouldn't expose your sensitive emotions to environments that cannot hold them with care. Self-respect means recognizing what needs protection and providing it without shame. There is also a quiet confidence in people who maintain privacy. They do not rush to explain themselves. They do not feel the need to justify their silence. They understand that those who matter will not demand access, and those who demand access often do not matter. This confidence does not come from arrogance. It comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Privacy allows you to grow without labels. When too many people know your past, they often hold you there, even after you have changed. They remind you of old versions of yourself. They expect you to behave the same way. By keeping parts of your life private, you give yourself room to evolve quietly. You become free to reinvent yourself without carrying unnecessary expectations. Another important aspect of privacy is peace. When fewer people know the details of your struggles, there are fewer opinions to deal with, fewer questions, fewer comparisons. Your mind becomes less crowded. You spend less time explaining and more time living. This peace is a direct result of self-respect because you are choosing mental well-being over momentary attention. Privacy also deepens your relationships. When you do speak, your words carry weight. When you do share, it is meaningful. People learn that access to your inner world is earned, not automatic. This creates respect on both sides. You stop feeling drained after conversations because you are no longer giving more than you should. Some people may misunderstand your privacy. They may label you as distant, mysterious, or reserved. Let them. Their interpretation is not your responsibility. Self-respect means being comfortable with being misunderstood by those who do not take the time to know you deeply. You do not owe everyone clarity. You owe yourself honesty. Living with privacy does not mean living in isolation. It means living with discernment. You still love deeply. You still connect sincerely. You simply choose depth over display. You choose meaning over noise. And in that choice, your self-respect strengthens. When you stop oversharing and start honoring your privacy, you begin to feel grounded. You move with intention. You speak with purpose. You share with care. This is not about closing yourself off from the world. It is about standing tall within it. Privacy is not secrecy. It is self-respect in its quiet, powerful form. Pain is already heavy. When it enters your life, it demands energy, attention, and emotional strength. But many people unknowingly make their pain heavier by sharing it with the wrong listener. They believe that talking will bring relief, but instead, it multiplies the suffering. This is because the wrong listener does not heal pain, they distort it. Not everyone who listens does so with compassion. Some listen out of curiosity. Some listen to feel important. Some listen to compare your pain with theirs. And some listen only to repeat your story elsewhere. When you open your heart to such people, you walk away feeling more exposed, more misunderstood, and more drained than before. What you needed was comfort, but what you received was emotional noise. The wrong listener often responds with judgment, even if it is subtle. A raised eyebrow, an unnecessary question, a careless comment. These small reactions can make you feel weak or foolish for feeling what you feel. Instead of feeling supported, you start questioning your emotions. You wonder if you are overreacting, if your pain is valid, if you are being too sensitive. This self-doubt adds another layer of suffering to the original pain. Sometimes the response is advice when all you needed was understanding. The wrong listener rushes to fix you, to give solutions without truly listening. They say things like, just move on, or others have it worse, or you should be grateful. These words, though often well intended, dismiss your experience. They make you feel unseen. Pain that is dismissed does not disappear, it goes deeper. There are also listeners who unknowingly turn your pain into a story. They retell it to others, sometimes adding their own interpretations. What was private becomes public. What was delicate becomes gossip. And suddenly, you are dealing not only with pain, but with embarrassment, shame, or the fear of being judged. This can break trust and make future healing even harder. The wrong listener may also project their own fears onto you. If they are unhappy, they may encourage hopelessness. If they are bitter, they may fuel resentment. Their emotional state influences how they respond to your pain. Instead of lifting you, they pull you into their own unresolved struggles. Pain shared in such spaces multiplies because it absorbs the negativity around it. Another dangerous effect of sharing pain with the wrong person is emotional dependency. When someone repeatedly listens, but never truly helps you heal, you may find yourself returning to them again and again, reliving the same pain. The wound never closes because it is constantly reopened through conversation. Healing requires processing, not repetition. Silence, reflection, and the right support are far more powerful than endless storytelling. Pain also needs dignity. When it is shared without care, it loses its sacredness. Your suffering is not entertainment. It is not a topic for casual discussion. When you choose the wrong listener, you unintentionally lower the value of your own experience. Later, when you regain strength, you may regret having given that access so easily. Choosing silence in such moments is not weakness, it is wisdom. Silence gives pain space to breathe without interference. It allows you to feel without being judged. It helps you understand what you truly need. Sometimes, pain does not need to be spoken, it needs to be felt, acknowledged, and gently released. This does not mean you should suffer alone. Healing often requires sharing, but only in safe spaces. The right listener listens without rushing. They do not interrupt, they do not compare, they do not judge. They hold your pain with respect. They may not have answers, but their presence itself feels healing. Such listeners are rare, and that is why they should be chosen carefully. When you learn to be selective about where you share your pain, you protect your emotional energy. You stop adding unnecessary weight to an already heavy heart. You give yourself the chance to heal properly. And over time, you become stronger, not because you talked more, but because you chose wisely when to speak and when to stay quiet. Pain shared in the wrong place multiplies. Pain shared in the right place transforms. And pain protected by silence often heals on its own. Peace is not always lost because of big problems. Very often, it is lost because of small conversations, unnecessary explanations, and unwanted opinions. Silence protects your peace in ways that words never can. It acts like a boundary around your mind, keeping chaos out and calm within. When you learn to remain silent at the right moments, You begin to experience a different quality of life, one that is lighter, clearer, and more grounded. Every time you speak, you invite response, and not every response is kind, helpful, or relevant. Many opinions are formed without understanding, yet once spoken, they linger in your mind. A careless remark can stay with you for days. A doubtful comment can echo in your thoughts at night. Silence prevents these unnecessary disturbances. By choosing not to speak, you also choose not to carry what does not belong to you. Silence gives you control over your emotional space. When you react immediately, emotions often take the lead. Words come out that you later wish you had kept inside. But when you pause and remain quiet, emotions settle. You begin to see things more clearly. This clarity itself is peaceful. It allows you to respond thoughtfully or sometimes not respond at all, which is often the wiser choice. Many conflicts exist only because of words. A misunderstanding, an argument, a long-term resentment. Most begin with something said at the wrong time or in the wrong tone. Silence can stop conflict before it starts. It does not mean you are accepting injustice or avoiding truth. It means you are choosing calm over chaos, wisdom over impulse. Peace is not about winning arguments. It is about protecting your inner balance. Silence also frees you from the pressure of explaining yourself. Constantly explaining your choices, feelings, or decisions can be exhausting. Not everyone needs to understand you. When you accept this, a heavy burden lifts. You stop trying to convince people. You stop seeking approval. And in that release, peace naturally enters. There is a deep peace that comes from not reacting to everything. The world constantly tries to pull your attention through opinions, criticism, praise, and expectations. Silence helps you step back. You observe instead of absorb. You watch without being shaken. This emotional distance is not coldness, it is self-preservation. Silence also strengthens your connection with yourself. When there is less external noise, your inner voice becomes clearer. You start understanding your own needs, limits, and desires. You become more aware of what truly matters and what does not. This self-awareness brings peace because confusion often comes from listening to too many voices at once. Another way silence protects peace is by preventing regret. Words spoken in anger, frustration, or sadness often create wounds that are hard to heal. Even apologies cannot always erase their impact. Silence, on the other hand, leaves no scars. What you do not say cannot be misunderstood, misused, or remembered against you. Peace also grows when you stop participating in unnecessary drama. Many situations do not require your opinion, reaction, or involvement. Silence allows drama to pass without pulling you in. When you do not feed negativity with attention or response, it loses power. Your peace remains intact because you did not engage. Silence is also a form of trust. It shows that you trust life to unfold without constant commentary. You trust yourself to handle things without external validation. This trust reduces anxiety. You stop overthinking what you said or how it was received. You simply are. Choosing silence does not mean suppressing yourself forever. It means speaking when your words add value, clarity, or kindness. It means knowing that your peace is more important than being right, being heard, or being understood by everyone. This prioritization changes how you move through life. When you learn to value silence, you begin to feel safer within your own mind. Your thoughts slow down, your reactions soften, your heart feels lighter. Peace becomes less dependent on circumstances and more rooted in your choices. Silence does not make life empty. It makes it spacious. And in that space, peace finds a place to stay. One of the most uncomfortable truths to accept in life is that not everyone wants the best for you. We like to believe that people around us are always happy for our growth, our success, and our peace. But human emotions are complex. Even good people can feel insecure, jealous, or threatened when they see someone else rising. This does not always come from hatred. Sometimes it comes from unhealed wounds and unmet dreams. Still, its effect on your life can be damaging if you are not aware of it. Many people will smile at your face and quietly struggle with your progress. Your growth reminds them of what they have not done. Your courage highlights their fear. Your discipline exposes their comfort. Without meaning to, your success becomes a mirror they did not ask to look into. And when people are uncomfortable with what they see in themselves, they often project it onto you. This is why discouragement often comes from unexpected places. It may come disguised as concern. "I'm just worried about you," they say. Or, "I don't want you to get hurt." These words sound caring, but they often carry doubt. Slowly, these doubts begin to influence your confidence. You start questioning your abilities, not because you lack them, but because you listen to voices that were never meant to guide you. Some people support you only as long as you stay within their comfort zone. They are happy when you struggle because it keeps you relatable. They are comfortable when you stay average because it does not challenge their sense of self. But when you aim higher, when you change, when you outgrow familiar patterns, their support becomes silence, or worse, criticism. This shift can be painful, especially when it comes from people you trust. It is important to understand that this does not make everyone around you bad. It makes them human. But your responsibility is not to manage their emotions. It is to protect your direction. When you share your dreams and plans with people who are not ready to see you succeed, you give them the power to influence your mindset. Even a small negative comment can slow you down more than you realize. There are also people who clap when you fall, not openly, but inwardly. Your failure gives them comfort because it confirms their own limits. It reassures them that trying is dangerous, that ambition leads to pain, and that staying where they are is safer. Being aware of this reality does not make you cynical. It makes you wise. Because not everyone wants the best for you, discretion becomes essential. You do not need to announce your moves. You do not need to seek approval. You do not need to explain your vision. The less people know, the less they can interfere, emotionally, mentally, or energetically. Silence becomes a shield, not because you are afraid, but because you are focused. Another danger of ignoring this truth is emotional confusion. When you expect support and receive doubt, it hurts deeply. You start questioning relationships instead of questioning access. You feel betrayed when, in reality, you simply shared too much with the wrong audience. Understanding that not everyone wants the best for you